to talk before we get into this video. One, I know it's been a very long time since we recorded, like 2 years, probably almost 3, who knows. Two, I want to say this wasn't officially like a investigation type thing. It's part of the Halloween attractions. It's the North Walk tour. So that's what Savannah, Anna, and I did. But we do plan to go to another thing in the summer probably. So they'll probably be more in depth, where we're there for like 6 hours or whatever, and it's not fast, and we could actually investigate on our own and stuff and all that. Yeah. So if you don't know the history of the prison, there's a lot to it. You kind of hear it in the videos that I compiled together in the 3 videos or pictures that Savannah sent me. Kind of hear it from there and whatever. But yes, so it began in 1863 when West Virginia seceded from Virginia. Then the then capital of Wheeling made the tiny village of Moundsville in the perfect location. The name comes from the ancient burial grounds that the Indian burial mounds from the Adena Indians, and that there's mounds everywhere and stuff. Prison was horrible to their people and prisoners, I should say. It was on the top 10 most violent correctional facilities during the 119 years being a prison. A lot of bad stuff happened and bad people and all that. Prisoners were rarely safe. Downstairs was one of the most infamous rooms in this complex, also known as the Sugar Shack. There's a lot of stuff going on down there. There's 998 documented deaths. But however, there's a lot more deaths that were not documented, and they were the hangings, because they were hanging until West Virginia abolished the death penalty, which was 1965, I think. Finally outlawed capital punishment in 1965. So the prison closed in 1995 for good when the West Virginia Supreme Court closed it for cruel and unusual punishment, which is the 8th Amendment, I think. I can't remember. But yeah, and then what makes the prison haunted is either speculated from or probably both, but some from the ancient burial grounds, because they dug everything up and moved everything around to build the prison and all that stuff in the neighborhood and whatever, and also the countless deaths in the prison. There were a couple famous ghosts, and there was Artie Wall, which we mentioned in the video. Basically, he had his own room and stuff, because he could do fix the boilers. And then 2 of his friends came and stabbed him and all that stuff. And then there's, I can't remember his full name, but his nickname was Red. We did the north side, so we did the infirmary, the bathroom area, the hole, or where solitary confinement was, the psych ward, and the medical area, and cell blocks were red, where the most violent criminals, I think, were held, and all that stuff. I can't remember what the place is called. It might be in the thing. But yeah, I just want to do a quick summary of the prison if you don't know. I'll leave other videos, Sam and Colby did an investigation there, go in depth. I'll leave it down in the description if you want to watch that. Yeah, so get on with the video. I don't know. I haven't looked at the footage, so I don't know if there's even gonna be any like paranormal stuff going on. But if I don't catch anything, and if any of you do, comment down below. And yeah.
Men in North Hall were considered the most dangerous across the state because about 95% of these men have multiple life sentences. Because of that, they are kept on 23-hour lockdown, eating all 3 of their meals inside of their cells. They can only be released for a quick shower and about 1 hour of exercise, but it does have to take place inside of a secured cage. Now, the most distinguishable feature about North Hall is the extreme amount of fencing in every direction. Now, that small bit fencing on the front of the doors is to try to help capture solids inside of fermented bodily fluids that would be thrown at officers. And I bet they referred to as gassing. But the overhead chain link, I hate to burst your bubble, does pretty much nothing to stop liquid. It was installed in the very late years when the men on the upper tiers figured out how to before throwing them at officers. Oftentimes, the items would be whatever the inmate considered disposable. So from the upper tiers, the most popular things to catch on fire and throw would be your pillow, a pair of shoes, or your cellmate. So as you come down the fence line, you'll notice how many times it is dramatically vented down, and you can imagine the weight of a thin pillow in that accomplishment. Now sometimes on the doors or the bunks, you will find pieces of steel that are halfway cut through, welded back together, or missing completely. The men would smuggle razor blades and hacksaw blades, and it would take months of time, but eventually they would be able to release a piece of the steel. Now, when you make your way down to cell number 9, make sure you check out that one. It's my personal favorite. It was occupied by Danny Alexander. His nickname was Scrappy, and he was a tattoo artist. You've ever seen Hulu's Castle Rock. The actor Bill Skarsgård that also played Pennywise the Clown was featured in that cell. But by far the most interesting feature about cell number 9 is the ability to see directly into cell number 8. And that is due to the hole in the wall that has been cut between cells 8 and 9. Now, I'm sure most of us can piece together the glorified reason a man might want to cut a hole in the wall at about waist height, but if you've not caught on, I will give whatever clue. Our inmate artists like to initial their artwork, but this set of initials is rather confusing. Danny Alexander should read DA, and even if he went by Scrappy, SA, but the closest set of initials to that hole reads BJ. And I'm sure we all know what that stands for, Bon Jovi, because the song lyrics are from the song I'll Be There For You. But I did mention ahead of time that we are unable to sing. For 14, you'll find it completely gutted. It was being occupied by a gentleman that had nicknamed himself Sissy Hicks. He was known for exchanging some physical favors to the other men in order to be 2 members of the Aryan Brotherhood, and as a retaliation, they found a wooden shiv, basically a little shim. They used that to wedge the cell door shut. They doused him in lighter fluid and caught him alive, on fire, inside of that cell. Unfortunately, because of that metal or that wooden shim that was in there, and because of the way that North Hall is set up with a 2-stage lock, the officers were unable to be occupied by gang leaders or the inmates that are labeled as influential. So that those cells by themselves, they go out to recreation by themselves, and they even have a separate shower location here, so they don't have to walk past the front of these guys in their cells. Now, the very last cell we'll be passing was occupied by a man named William A. Snyder. His nickname was Red, and he was the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood within the prison. Now, Red was said to be one of the most feared yet respected inmates that's ever been housed here, and he gets himself into North Hall in 1973. He was originally being housed in a different cell block, but he took an officer hostage and physically tore down a wall into the protective custody cell block to release the pedophiles to go play throughout the prison. So his punishment, 23-hour lockdown in North Hall. Now, while he's here, his real rise to fame comes from November of '86. Red Snyder puts out the hit on leader of the Avengers Motorcycle Club, Danny Lehman, who at that time was said to be the most powerful inmate within the prison. So that kind of gets the whispers started through the block, who would be strong enough to take out Danny. Now, Red really liked to establish his dominance. Hired officers were here in North Hall. He liked to intimidate the officers by out loud in front of the rest of the population, reading the officers' first and last name, home address, social security number, license plate number, the name of his wife, the name of his kids, and what school they go to. So Red liked to let everybody know from day number 1 who was truly in charge. Now 2 cells down from Red, and that's that second cell in here, was occupied by another member of the Aryan Brotherhood and a good friend to Red, Rusty Lassiter. Now the only freedom that the officers allowed Red and Rusty were to go out to recreation together. They were marked as gang leaders and technically should have gone out by themselves, but keep in mind they are members of the same gang. Turf war inside of the recreation cage. For many years, it seemed as though the officers were using this as a creative way to keep Red and Rusty out of trouble. Now, these 2 gentlemen knew this was a freedom that was not supposed to be granted. We're going to be rounding around this cage to make a horseshoe shape into the yard outside. When you're stepping into the cage, the bar that runs at your feet, please be careful not to trip on it. Allow the men coming from North Hall to safely have 1 hour of recreation, but because the men are considered so dangerous, that recreation has to take place inside of one of these secured cages. Originally, these bullpens were protected with just regular barbed wire, but the inmates kept figuring.
Artie. Artie, come out. Artie.
Oh, this is like big.
Oh, it's not focusing. Hold. It's not focusing. That's dust. But it's like it's trying to focus on something. Oh. And he crawled out here. That's where he died.
Wait, oh my god, in the TFL video, they pointed out his handprints right here.
Yeah.
That's fucking
The
cool.
bloody
I just saw this like, however long ago it was.
Oh, the feeling's so different in here. Oh, my shadow scared me.
What is this? Why is
This is the bathroom where he got stabbed.
It feels really warm in here.
I know, it feels like off.
Crazy. That's crazy. I love that.
He's probably like,
Yeah.
because he was trying to get up. I think he died like here, but he got stabbed over there. Huh. That's a guy.
Oh my god, I was so excited.
I think. Is there someone back there?
Yeah, just kind of around that curved
Yeah.
there, you find the silhouette of it that used to be in there for RD.
Ooh.
And if you go in that room and start looking at the floor, you'll start seeing a circle pattern where custom tile have been laid down. Tell me you're a snitch without telling me you're a snitch.
It looks like real good conditions.
Now in the room opposite RD's, there is a, you may have noticed a huge motor on the ground. It took about 5 years for us to break it. Then we just stuck a couple of inmates in the basement and they had to hand crank it.
That is crazy.
Now,
Priority.
make sure you got all your friends with you.
Still got my phone battery.
The number one location to break into during a riot, it's the pharmacy. Painting is beautiful unicorns from a lovely princess castle. And unicorns are actually, interestingly enough, in bold, some are hidden within the artwork. And I will admit, we have no factual on the perimeter of the room. Now, since the infirmary is often described as one of our noisiest, maybe having a conversation that you overhear, something like a car radio playing coming from this side of the room, simply put, maybe the customers out front. Now, what we do not consider normal is the many people that come downstairs and report to us that the restroom here on the corner was often described as a suicide bathroom, and that's because the nurses that worked up here had actually painted the front of these plexiglass windows about 3/4 of the way up, just to give a little bit of privacy to the restroom. If you're going to give privacy anywhere, let it be the bathroom. But oftentimes the inmates realized that the nurses really wouldn't pay much attention to you in there. So if you were able to smuggle a razor blade, you could slice your carotid and leave it out of the toilet.
Why is this thing not focusing?
Now, when you make your way down here, feel free to step inside of this room. It's just smaller, so I like to give you guys the upfront route. And you will find 2 tanks in here that are continually locked. We had a couple of issues. Photography experts, and none of which have ever been able to debunk the photo in any way, even still to this day.